So, welcome back to the Business Edge. And this is a broker's perspective episode where we sit down with real brokers and unpack what's actually drives growth in their market. I'm David Erbach, and today I'm joined by Norma Saenz, broker and owner at Saenz and Smith Real Estate in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Norma works with buyers and sellers across the region and is known for a high-touch approach to guiding clients through one of their biggest financial decisions of their lives. She also brings bilingual service to the table for families navigating the process in English or Spanish. Norma, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, David.
Absolutely. Well, let's start out with your story. We want to hear from you. How did you get started in real estate, or maybe you can go, where are you from? I mean, background, where do we want to go with this?
Well, I'll give you the short version. So I am from Mexico. I was born and raised in Mexico, came to the United States at a very young age. And so I got into real estate because I felt, having the challenges that we had growing up, I felt like owning a home was what brought us stability. And so I have been in administration most of my life for my career, nonprofit and government. And so I just saw, it was a easy pathway for me to get into real estate and kind of help Americans with the American dream, which the stability that it brings. Right. It's, to me, it's unmeasurable when you really look at how it changes the lives of people, of what we do, helping in the biggest purchase of their life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So someone comes to you, what do you start with? How do you provide them guidance on how this process is going to go for them in looking for a house?
Yeah, so we start off, of course, we have our buyer broker books that we hand out, but first and foremost, we meet with them. So I meet with them and go over the whole process with them. So typically we're looking at about an hour, our first meeting, and I go through the whole process of them, of what it means of being a homeowner, what it's going to take for them to be a homeowner, what the process is. And then, starting off with, of course, talking to a lender and going through the whole contract and helping them understand of the contingencies in every contract. So that way they are not just saying, I want to waive, the home inspection because
Oof, right.
that's $400, right? And so I really don't like when we start talking about waiving stuff. And so I go through the whole process of explaining to them the importance of them not waiving anything. And those contingencies are there for their protection.
Yeah, I cringe when you say they want to waive like the home inspection, and you start looking at these things, you get yourself in trouble really quickly. Like,
Right, right.
this giant purchase that you're making, and you're, I mean, understandably worried about, how much you're spending, but of all things to waive, that would be the first one I would not want to waive at all. Yeah,
Right.
it's
And I put it very clear, I let them know this is the biggest purchase probably of your life. This is not like purchasing a pair of shoes that you can just go and return, right? I mean, this here, it will affect what you're able to do in the future. And so by that, we go over like the payments and how important it is for them to stay within their means, whether they can qualify for a lot more. That's not the goal. The goal is for them to have a stable place for
Mhm.
themselves and their family.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So, how do you get them to listen to you? Because I know I can imagine all of a sudden they're shopping for a house, and then they want this feature and that feature. They could use more bedrooms, and they qualify for it. I mean, you just try to keep them grounded or set expectations from the beginning.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I think my age right now is at an advantage because I talk to them and I tell them, because most of the buyers that I have are much younger than me, right? And so, and I love that. And so, I talk to them in a way that I would talk to my kids. And I let them know, I am not here to make a sale. Of course, I would love to. Who wouldn't? But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you are buying something that is going to bring you this, and there again, the stability for them and their household. And all along the process, I tell them, I am here to help you. I am here to help you make decisions and guide you, right? I'm not here to make those decisions for you. And so at the end of the day, it's your call, whatever you decide. But from my experience, this is what I've seen. And a lot of the times they appreciate that. They appreciate me sharing things that I've seen, and how people have set themselves up for failure sometimes, and
Right.
how I'm trying to avoid that for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that being said, tell us about like your most successful story that you have, or most satisfying, I mean, perhaps.
My gosh, a family with kids. Oh my God, that is probably one of the most satisfying transactions, right? And so, I had a family in Deming, which is about 60 miles away, that they didn't think they could really afford a house, right? So I met with them, and they had three little kids. And so we started looking at homes, and then got them pre-qualified and stuff. And so they were under the impression that they needed 20%, and that they needed all this
Oh,
stuff.
yep.
And so, so we went through the whole process and started looking at homes. And, I would drive over there and go meet with them. What is the most touching is when those kids bring you, a little something, right? They would, every time that I would meet up with them, they would bring me literally a little cup with like Mexican candies, because they knew I love Mexican candy. So,
Right.
you know,
That's
and
sweet. Yes.
and that to me was the most touching, because then at that point I felt like I'm making a huge impact. I'm making an impact not only for the parents, but for the kids. And so in the day of closing, each one of them brought me a card that they had done in Spanish to me. And so that's just one of the stories, right? And it's not all about money. It's not all about the compensation. It's about the way you touch people's lives in a way that you never, that was never the intent, right? It wasn't something that you set yourself to do. And so, yeah, I think the most rewarding is when you help people find a house that they can afford and they love it.
So let's look at the opposite of that. What's your most difficult client that you work with? And what makes them difficult? Don't name any names, please, Norma.
No, and so here's the advantage that I have is that from the beginning, I don't work with difficult clients, and we're not a good fit, and they don't appreciate the value I bring to the table, and my expertise, and my sincerity, right? To
Right.
really want to help them. I mean, I am here because I love helping and I want to make a difference. And so, I have the luxury of saying we're not a good fit, and we just, I will refer it out, or they can just go find other representation. And I'm not saying that, it becomes difficult and I'm done. No, but from the get go, if I see that they're going to be difficult in the sense that they're going to be challenging, and they're always going to challenge what you're saying, and second guessing, and rightfully so, right? I mean, some of them have to challenge and stuff, but there's a certain threshold that for me it's like, no, it's not worth it, because I really want to help people that want my help, right? I'm not
Mhm.
right for everybody, but I am perfect for my clients.
That is an awesome way to approach it. You could see a new broker, a new real estate agent starting out and just being desperate to work with anybody just to make a living. And if it's not a good fit, I mean, that's how we see it in our business too, our technologies now business. It has to be a good fit because it becomes a partnership. Otherwise, if you can't work together, we're not going to be successful. So I understand exactly what you're
Exactly.
saying, Norma. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth it, and we have to think about, are we even, being fair and being just by taking on this particular customer client just because the end goal is our compensation? For me, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Nice. So what advice do you give to new real estate agents getting into the business?
So the advice, and so right now I have 10 brokers under our brokerage. And so the advice, and most of them are new. Most of them
Mhm.
have come in to our brokerage brand new. And I tell them, do this for the right reason. If you're not doing it for the right reason, that you want to help, sincerely want to help somebody and make a difference, then don't do it. Right. And I also let them know, if somebody's not a right fit for you, don't follow through. Terminate your buyer broker agreement. That's not an issue, because I want them to know that they bring value, right? My
Hmm.
brokers, my 10 brokers, I know it's a small brokerage, but I'll tell you what, it's small and mighty. So, but those
All
10
in mind, yeah.
brokers, yeah. So those 10 brokers, they understand the value that we bring, right? And if we're not providing value, then we have no place in our industry. So what I tell the brokers is just, you know what? Just be yourself, be better, be professional. Customer service, number one priority, right? And also, bring some compassion to the table. Because a lot of the times, because we do this day in and day out, we forget what it is, what these buyers are going through, right? And so that's one of the things that I always tell my brokers: bring compassion, empathy, because they don't understand the process like we do. And that's why we're there to educate.
Yeah, absolutely. Educate, represent, support them through. No, absolutely. That makes sense. Tell us about the Las Cruces market. Tell us about Las Cruces for those people that do not know where this is at. I know where it's at. I know where you're located, but tell everybody else.
Yeah, so I mean, Las Cruces is a great place to live, right? I've been living here for about 40 years, 40 45 years. But it's a great place. The food, if you like Mexican food, oh my God, that is the best, the best. Not only that, but we have such a diverse community and the cultures that we have here. The university, we have New Mexico State University that brings in a lot of foreign students, and so they bring their families and stuff, and it is just such a well-rounded community. And we're really close to the border. We're about 45 minutes away from the Mexico border. And so the community that Las Cruces has, or offers, is, my God, it's, yeah, it's unbelievable. And the weather, we have mild seasons, whether it be the winter, the summer. We have, gosh, great mountains. And, an hour away, an hour and a half away, we can go skiing if we want to. So I mean, I can't speak enough about our area.
Yes,
Seriously, I'm in love. I'm in love with
I
our
can tell.
area.
You're the ambassador for Las Cruces, I think. Yeah, I think right there, the poster child, all those sorts of things. Oh, that was a rave review. That's fantastic. How is the real estate market there?
So the real estate market last year was a little challenging, and I would say that it's probably across the board, but this year we're starting to see a lot of activity, which is great. And early in the year, right? Typically
Hmm.
we don't see a lot of activity till probably like March, but no, we're starting to see a lot of activity right now. Right now, I would say it's a balanced market, which is great, because nobody has the upper hand anymore. The sellers don't have upper hand, and
Right.
buyers don't have upper hand. So it's a balanced market, which is great because that's where I love to work in, right? There's a lot less challenges, I think, when it's a balanced market. So yeah, the market is picking up. Our market so we have another office in Silver City, which is about 2 hours away, and that one hasn't started to pick up the way that our Las Cruces market has picked up. Typically, that one doesn't start to pick up till it starts to get a little bit warmer, because they do have a little bit of a colder winter, definitely, than we do. So it does lag a little bit behind.
Silver City. I'll have to look that up too. Okay, interesting. The things I get to learn and the stories I get to hear. This is fantastic. So thank you for that piece of it.
Hmm.
Norma, we are a technology company, so I would be amiss if I didn't ask you about how you've seen technology change in real estate over the time you've been a broker.
Wow, yeah, no, technology has definitely changed. I've been a broker for, gosh, um, 13 years, going on 14 years, and technology has definitely changed. And so when I started, our files were paper files, right? And now we have, with technology, I mean, the platforms that are available, my gosh, it's like you have from check, you can include checklists to make sure that your files are in there. Not only that, but I mean, now with AI, that's such a game changer, to be able to polish a listing description and stuff like that. Gosh, from the marketing aspect of it as well. There's just technology in such amount. For me, I feel like it's such short amount of time has
Hmm.
evolved so much that, um, that sometimes I feel like the newer generation takes it for granted because they've been
Oh, it
raised with it,
is.
right? But
Yeah.
for us that have come from what was pencil and paper, yeah, it's evolved in a good way, in a really good way.
Yeah, it's I definitely in real estate. I mean, all the electronic paperwork is just been a game changer. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
Moves faster, it's easier, fewer trees maybe, as long as people don't lose track of what they're signing, right? So they still need to be
right.
guided through the system to understand, what am I getting into? What am I committing to? What am I waiving? Nothing. Says Norma, you're waiving nothing, is what you said earlier.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And for the compliance part of it, right? Like for me, that I'm really strong about compliance and stuff. Oh my God, it's so much easier, right? Because I can check any file at any time, and
Hmm.
I don't have to just go into the office and pull a filing cabinet. So for compliance purposes, my goodness, really, it's great as well.
Yeah, no, that has to be a game changer. Especially you said you have an office that's 2 hours away, right? So if
Right,
you need to supervise or oversee what's going on there, you don't want to have to drive up there to open the filing
right.
cabinet or have somebody fax something to you for goodness sake. Do you still have a fax machine?
I have a fax number, but not necessarily a fax machine.
Yeah.
So it's one of those what online,
E-fax.
yeah,
Yeah.
e-fax.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But just like being able to have these conversations, right? On a platform that we're able to see each other and have these conversations too. That's
Mhm.
also huge. That wasn't available when I started in the business. And now I'm able to meet with the brokers in Silver City and have a conversation and go over a contract right there live. So yeah,
No, that
great.
is pretty. That is very interesting. So, Norma, when you don't have your broker hat on, what are you doing? What do you do for fun?
I like to learn. So, I love what I do. I truly, truly love what I do. I mean, this is it brings so much joy to see the growth in our industry, right?
Mhm.
And to see how we're able to change lives. So, for me, I love to just learn of what's changing, what's evolving, so that way I can be a better leader for the brokers under our brokerage. Yeah, it's not like, yeah, anything that has to do with learn, whether it's on a hardback book or online, that's how I love to relax.
That is excellent. Is there a book you'd recommend that we read? Not to put you on the spot there, but what do you have in
I
mind?
Yeah, I know. One of the books that we've read here at the brokerage, and it's not even has to do with real estate. It's the Four Agreements, right? And so that book there, I felt that was such a great book for all of us to read as a team and then to have discussion over it. So Four Agreements, and I've read that book numerous times, and I always learn something new. And so, yeah, it has nothing to do with real estate, right? But it has to do with, development, and it has to do with, just being a good human.
Well, we could use more of that. I think that should be issued to everyone across the nation in how whatever version they want. They want an audiobook, they want an
Yeah,
ebook,
absolutely.
whatever, just
Absolutely.
paper book. Like here, this looks like a just a backdrop. These are actually books. Well, you can't see that one. I was
Yeah.
just trying to prove that I had books, and I can't tell you I've actually read every one of these. They've all been
Mhm.
opened. I read some of all of these for me, you know. So, but the Four Agreements, I was thinking I do not have. I've not read that book. I've heard of it many times. Just hasn't
Yeah,
made
yeah.
it into my, hasn't made it to my desk, obviously yet. And I wrote it down. So thank you for that tip. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to go ahead and get wrapped up here, if that's okay with you, Norma. Is there anything else you want
Absolutely.
to share with the folks first? The words of wisdom. Do you have words of wisdom for us?
Words of wisdom. I think in anything that we do, right, quality over quantity. That is, I don't care what we're doing. Quality over quantity is has always guided me in the right path. And so, for anybody that is just starting in their real estate business, always provide quality because quantity just diminishes. your reputation, right? And so we work so hard to build our reputation in this industry. So in order to keep that, I have to provide the quality, right? Rather
Great.
than just providing the numbers.
That's great advice. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Norma, this was excellent. Thanks again for sharing what it takes to serve your clients, run a successful brokerage. And for everyone listening, I'm David Erbach, and this has been the Business Edge, a broker's perspective. And if you want to connect with Norma and follow her work, we're going to put links below. You can connect with Norma right there. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thing then sometimes, because sometimes, I mean, you make mistakes, right? And they keep you up. And so through the years, I found that if you're doing it with the right intentions and you're doing the right thing, man, your nights are so much better, and then you don't have to worry about, what you said or what lies you're trying to cover up, yeah, it's not hard. It
It
really
shouldn't
isn't.
be, should it? It should not be hard. It should be easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for the opportunity. This was great. This was really great. You made it very, very relaxing and comfortable. Thank you.
Okay, good. Good. It's supposed to be exactly that. So what we'll do from here, the Riverside software that we're in, will we'll all do editing of the main podcast because I have to get into that and do a little work on it. But it'll take shorter video clips by itself. The software does, that are good for YouTube Shorts, for social media. There'll be at least a dozen videos that you'll have full access to.
Oh,
So those
wonderful.
will, yeah, those will all be yours. What we'll do on our end is we'll post to YouTube. I think we're just getting started. I think we're on like 32, 33, podcast 32, 33, somewhere there. I should know those numbers. Anyway, we'll get this posted after I do some editing. But if you like, we can set up time and I'll have this done in 3 or 4 days. We can set up a short meeting and we can do two things. The one is I'll give you a link to all this. That's where I'll basically just get into the software. I show you where you can download or post directly to social media out of the software. It's pretty cool, actually. It works really well. That's
Hmm.
that's what we do. We go straight out of the software because these are videos are huge. So it's just easier to go that direction. And then we are a technology company, and at your option, I can do an AI audit of what's available to you with your business with real estate, and we do focus on real estate primarily. So that'll be at your option. If you want to do that, when we meet again, I'll give you all the podcast videos, and then I'll ask you a bunch of questions about your business, and then I'll come back to you with some ideas because again, this is what we do. So it's that's complimentary, just
Okay.
give you some
Well, thank
ideas.
you. Yeah. Okay.
Do you know your calendar? How does your I don't know if I can do that. I was looking at Thursday. It would have to be a little bit later though. Do you have time available Thursday, but an hour later? I think we're on the same time zone. Is it 4 o'clock there?
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock right now.
I'm in Denver, by the way. I didn't even mention that. So I'm just
Oh,
straight
okay.
north.
Well, no wonder
Yeah.
you're familiar with our area. Yeah. Let's see. 4:30 would be great. I don't know if that's too late for you.
No, no, that's good. That's good. I have a spot at 4:30, and I don't have anything before that.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll just set up and it'll just be a Zoom call. We won't record on this again because we don't need to
Okay.
do that.
Perfect.
But then I'll be able to deliver this all to you and show you this. And again, I will just ask you a bunch of questions about your business. How you do things, what technology you use, what you want to accomplish, blah blah blah, all these sorts of things. And then I'll come back to you with, hey, here's some ideas that you can take a look at. And it's pretty cool. There's a lot of interesting things out there. So I won't hold back on what's available. But then I'll give you some ideas. That'll be
Okay.
fun. All right.
Sounds great. Okay.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and get that meeting set up, and we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you so much, David.
All
I
right, you're welcome,
appreciate
Norm.
it. Thank
All right,
you.
Norm. All right.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.